In third grade, I cheated on my history exam. In fourth grade, I stole my Uncle Max's toupee and I glued it on my face when I played Moses in my Hebrew school play.
All right, there's a confession from the movie The Goonies, but these confessions are real life. So what are we going to hear next from New York Governor David Patterson? One can only speculate at this point. Of course, last week, he and his wife disclosed that they each had extramarital affairs several years ago. Now, in a television interview that's going to air tonight, Patterson admits to illegal drug use. Take a look at a piece of that.
You have used cocaine, Governor?
I'd say I was about 22 or 23. I tried it a couple of times, yes.
When is the last time is that the only time you've tried cocaine, Governor?
Yeah, around that time. A couple of times. And marijuana, probably when I was about 20. I don't think I touched marijuana since the late 70s.
Think so, anyway. Who knows what else is going to come out here. Let's see what our A-list has to say about this as a strategy. You know, we're sort of experiencing a whole new kind of political disclosure here, David Corn. You know,
yes.
Is this what, you know, you just have to run for office? If you get in like he did by surprise, just better spill your guts right away, right?
Well, better being candid about it. David Patterson, it seems, was a man or a young man of his times. I knew him in the early 80s, and believe me, he was not a party hound. That was not his reputation. But he admits to experimenting, which is more. Remember, in 2000, George W. Bush refused to answer questions like this. You know, he wouldn't say that he had or that he hadn't done cocaine and marijuana. So why do you think it is?
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring that up.
The question is, do we care? Why do we care about this? Do we care about John McCain's first marriage? I mean, these are to what degree do we want to judge people by what happened 10, 20, 30 years ago?
It's a very good question to raise. Jason, you know, with regards to President Bush, he said, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm a changed man, and that's that. Is that okay today, or will that never fly again?
Well, you know, first, another shocking revelation that a baby boomer experimented with drugs. You know, I actually do think it's a good strategy. You know, I think it ended up working for Governor Bush. You know, he implied that he probably did some things he regrets today, but he didn't, you know, air his dirty laundry. But think back, you know, Newt Gingrich and Al Gore both admitted to trying marijuana very early in their careers. And neither of them, one being the vice president, one being the Speaker of the House, ever got beat up on that issue because they had been honest about it. And you compare that to Bill Clinton, who was so cagey about it when he ran for president in '92 that it's something that he still mocked about. So the honesty, I think voters appreciate, and you know, he didn't get caught in a scandal, and it wasn't a gotcha moment. It was his decision to share something with the people. I expect he'll probably be fine in a couple of weeks.
Every time this subject comes up, and Crystal, talk to me about this, I always get email from people saying, look, you know, doing drugs is breaking the law. Why is nobody at your panel standing up and saying these people broke the law and they've admitted it?
Well, you're right. It is against the law. But the issue here is if he had not admitted to doing this stuff and we found out later, we'd be raking him over the coals. Right. So he does admit it, which is the same situation that we see, you know, Kwame Kilpatrick, he doesn't admit something. So, he, you know, of course, that was perjury. Right. And it's obstruction of justice as well that he's getting charged with. But you take Patterson, he admitted something that, first of all, the marijuana he admitted 2 years ago. So that's old information. He does it in a preemptive way so he can take the control away from anybody else from taking this information and using it against him. So is it against the law? Yes. But is it any different than what several other people do? That's not what I want to teach my children. Just because other people have done it, it's okay. But the fact is he was honest about it. And do we all make mistakes? Yes. Politicians included. I'd rather hear about it out of his mouth than somebody else come up with the information and use it against him and put him in an even, you know, tighter position where he is, you know, backed up against the wall and can't control how the information is disseminated.
You know, I guess it becomes an individual question of what matters to you. You know, I mean, Heather, you know, I'm wondering if there are politicians out there who don't have all of these things in their closet. And, you know, you talk about your kids, when you do say to them, it becomes a culture where whatever you do is okay as long as you come forward and you apologize.
Well, I think that we all, like you said, we all make mistakes. I think politicians are no different. I don't necessarily want a politician who's perfect. I want a politician who has experienced life, who has made mistakes, who has learned from them, and who is able to come forward and be honest about those mistakes. I think also these things usually come out during a campaign. This poor guy has been thrust into office, and now suddenly everything is coming out within a week or two. So it seems like there's a revelation every day.
Right.
And I think maybe we should just let things calm down and let business happen in Albany.
Martha?
Hold on one second, David, because I just want to tell everybody we're watching the courtroom where Kwame Kilpatrick is about to step in and be arraigned. This is the mayor of Detroit. He'll be in this room in just a second, and we will take you there live as soon as that gets underway. Crystal, I know that you're from Detroit. We have a bunch of interesting coincidences on this panel. What do you make of all this?
Oh, my family is at home. My parents are at home. Heard about this. I wish he would just step down and stop the madness at this point. Whether or not the evidence is admissible, the text messages, to me is not really the issue at this point. The issue is the fact that it's distracting to running the city of Detroit, that already has had a blitz of negative publicity, one of the worst job, economies in the country. The state's about to go in debt, and this is one huge distraction. And the biggest thing here, think about your family, Mayor Kilpatrick. Think about what this is doing to your wife and your children. I know the type of person he is.
He says it's all the media's fault.
Well, it's not the media's fault. It's not the media's fault that he lied. It's not the media's fault that he sent these text messages. Now, did he and his wife have an understanding about him having extramarital affairs? He can't even say that this is a private matter on that front, because if you saw the press conference that they sat down and gave together on a local Detroit channel, where she said, I did not know about this. I am hurt. This is devastating for my family, but let us deal with this privately.
Right.
Well, they can't even deal with it privately now,
So
because he's not even
privately,
he's not even stepping down. Step out of public life.
Jason Roe, you have a bit of a history with Mr. Kilpatrick as well. Fess up.
Yeah, we went to middle school together, 7th and 8th grade at Dwight
He's from
Rich Middle
Detroit, too?
School in Lansing, Michigan. And those of us that knew Kwame and his brother was in our same grade. We're not terribly surprised he became mayor, because he took school a little more seriously than the rest of us, and he came from a political family. We are surprised he became
There they are,
the playa
7th
mayor.
graders, Jason Roe and Kwame Kilpatrick.
Oh my God.
With so much
Yeah,
promise.
we are surprised he became the playa mayor, because he wasn't exactly a ladies' man back then.
They call him Big Sexy now.